Holy shit. The news. Here is an illustrated summary of the news.
Have you guys considered, in the light of the complete and total barrage, the war on free speech from the left, and that stuff's always entering stage left, totalitarianism, always entering stage left, regardless of the nonsense, the projection that you hear. What baffles me about it, at this point in time, it's pretty much known by most people in the political realm. Anybody with a political IQ kind of knows that the left has sort of been branded with this sort of social justice warrior, safe space, that whole kind of gaggle of nonsense that people are just tired of, political correctness, etc. Even in the light of the terrible press they're getting, the horrible reputation that surrounds that now, they still double down, triple down, and they'll come up with a million reasons. Hate is not speech. No tolerance for intolerance. I mean, they come up with all these things, but nobody's swallowing that, even on their own side. And I mean, the offspring of that, the consequences of that kind of nonsense can be seen everywhere in our society now. You got this stuff going on with YouTube, scary and terrifying. Stifling speech, shutting down voices is now the new normal, and that's just absolutely terrifying. But you got to wonder why these people keep coming back to the well. They're setting fires at Berkeley for Milo, and then a couple months later, they're doing the same kind of nonsense for Ann Coulter. Where's the learning curve? Where's the adjustment? Here's my take on this, and I'm serious about this. The left knows, certainly these universities know, there is no way they can actually allow for the free exchange of ideas. There is no way that these guys are going to be able to open the floodgates, allow everybody a chair at the table of ideas and kick things around. They will just go down in flames. Leftism has to be a controlled environment. It has to be a controlled experiment. You cannot allow other thoughts. And the proof of this is you got the Rubin report, and there's a bunch of sort of classic liberals, people that don't agree with me politically, but are just so tired of what is regressive leftism. They're springing up everywhere. In my opinion, they often don't identify the problem. But the interesting thing about these guys is, as I'm watching all these people, the seed is in the soil now. The second they leave groupthink leftism, the second they start sitting down with alternative views, having conversations with people that do not agree with them, the second they treat those people like real people, start forming relationships with them, stop villainizing them with ridiculous politically correct names, that's the day that their leftism begins to die. And you can see it. They slowly just start to drift in the current of common sense away from leftism. It just happens. It's amazing. It happens every single time. Now, I'm not saying that they become overnight conservatives or eventually even become complete conservatives, but they leave leftism. They leave that groupthink. They leave that hive mind where you're like a drone bee in a hive. The second that breaks down, the second that's done, leftism is done. And that's why they fight for it with such veracity. That's why with all their big issues, they never debate the issue itself. It's always the person that opposes them is evil. You don't want to be the person that opposes them. You don't want to be like them. You don't want to think like them. They never discuss the issue. So much so that there's some so-called scientists in our society that do not wear the trappings whatsoever of science, which is empirical, which is test, which is look at the world around you, objectively observe, which is openly discuss. You listen to guys like Bill Nye and all these ridiculous guys. What are they doing? They're just guarding the fortress of the status quo thinking. Just imagine what would have happened to science if it would have done that throughout history. These people will, I guarantee you this, these people will sour in the mouth of the populace. It's already happening, and it will continue to happen. The point of this video is mark my words and watch their behavior. What will they do? They'll be like a dog in a corner. They'll get more and more ferocious. They'll be more and more hyperbolic. They'll be more and more insulated. They'll attack more. There's nothing else there. There's no plan B. Leftism dies in the sunlight of clarity. Leftism dies when other ideas pierce the bubble. Fact. Thank you for listening.
Join the courage culture. Visit Brock's YouTube channel for an intellectual arsenal against the lies of leftism.